Good day, and just when everyone thought the era of Queen Margrethe would glide gently into the history books with polite applause and respectful nods, she dropped a final act so explosive it rattled crowns, courtiers, and public opinion alike. While Australians are used to leaders overstaying their welcome or leaving in a cloud of confusion, Denmark's former queen chose a different path, one that proved legacy is not about how long you reign, but how loudly you exit. Before we get into it, do not forget to subscribe to Royal News Daily and click the notifications bell. That way you stay across the power plays, palace politics, and royal decisions that echo far beyond Europe, including right here in Australia. Now let us rewind. Queen Margrethe was not just any monarch. She was Denmark's constant. Decades on the throne, respected, cultured, and widely admired for keeping the monarchy relevant in a rapidly changing world. She survived cultural revolutions, economic shocks, and generational shifts, all while projecting calm authority. So when she stepped aside, the assumption was simple: graceful transition, quiet applause, end of story. Except that is not what happened. Instead, her final decisions sent shockwaves through the royal household. Changes to titles, roles, and expectations landed with a thud, not a whisper. Supporters called it decisive leadership. Critics called it unnecessary disruption. Either way, the timing turned what should have been a smooth handover into a political earthquake. And earthquakes, as Australians know, do not need to be frequent to be devastating. Here's where it gets fascinating. Queen Margrethe framed her actions as modernization, trimming excess, clarifying roles, and future-proofing the monarchy. On paper, that sounds sensible. In reality, it felt abrupt, personal, and emotionally charged. Families were affected. Public sympathy shifted. Suddenly, the monarch once seen as untouchable was being questioned in everyday conversation. That's a rare fall from grace. For Australians, this feels familiar. We've watched respected leaders make late-career decisions that redefine how history remembers them. One controversial call can undo decades of goodwill. It's the political equivalent of a farewell speech that goes off script, and once it does, that's the version people remember. The core issue was not the decision itself, but how it was delivered. There was little warning, limited explanation, and an expectation that authority alone would smooth things over. That assumption belongs to another era. In today's climate, people demand reasons, empathy, and transparency. When they don't get them, admiration turns into resentment with alarming speed. This final act also complicated life for King Frederik X. Instead of inheriting a settled throne, he stepped into a monarchy already under strain. Australians understand this dynamic well. When a departing leader leaves unresolved tension, the successor pays the price. The mess becomes theirs, whether they created it or not. And let's be honest, Queen Margrethe knew exactly what she was doing. This was not a slip, it was a statement. Some see it as a queen asserting control until the very last moment. Others see it as a warning about the cost of resisting change. Either interpretation adds fuel to the fire, because it reframes her reign not as a gentle close, but as a dramatic punctuation mark. This matters beyond Denmark. Every monarchy watches how others manage transition. Every republic in waiting, including Australia, watches even more closely. When royal exits become controversial, the argument for inherited power weakens. People start asking whether stability is promised or merely advertised. What makes this story compelling is its irony. Queen Margrethe spent her life protecting the institution, yet her final move exposed its fragility. It reminded the public that even the most respected figures can misjudge the mood, and in a time of economic pressure and social anxiety, public patience is thin. Still, history is rarely kind or simple. Queen Margrethe's legacy will not be erased by one decision, but it will be complicated by it. She leaves behind a monarchy forced to explain itself at the exact moment it hoped to quietly reset. That's not sabotage, but it's certainly disruption. For Australian viewers, the lesson is sharp. Power is not just about authority, it's about timing. Leave too quietly and you fade. Leave too loudly and you overshadow everything else. Queen Margrethe chose volume, and now Denmark and the world is still listening. Thank you very much for watching Royal News Daily.